May the best brand win with Scott Robertson's Music Biz Marketing Strategies. Now, here's your host, Scott Robertson.
Hey, happy Friday, everybody. You are tuned to May the Best Brand Win on Entertalk Media, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. I am Scott, your host, and yes, a man who was part of California's unofficial refugee relocation program. I have fled my homeland of California in search of, I guess I would say, sanity. And with us out there somewhere in the producing world is producer Paul B, who is he's not with us right now, but he'll be involved in the show at some point. We know that he's currently wanted dead or alive, much like Bon Jovi in the '80s, to be quite honest. And no, we do not have the budget for that song, so we will not be playing that song right now. But anyway, who am I? What do I do? How do you reach me? I run a public relations and marketing firm. Used to be in Orange County. Now I'm in Phoenix, Arizona. I am a certified story brand guide. I create powerful brand stories, website wireframes, sales copies, of course, PR, PR and everything for my clients. But perhaps the hardest and most critical part of running any business is getting your marketing right. And you can either keep spending money on marketing without the confidence it's being spent on the right things, or you can pinpoint exactly what needs to change. That's why I'm excited to tell you about the Story Brand Marketing Report. It's a new online assessment that lets any small business owner understand exactly where their marketing plan is falling short and exactly what it should look like. So if you've been marketing your business without a playbook, or you're working in-house and you feel like the company doesn't have a good playbook, you will love the custom marketing report from StoryBrand. Just take the free assessment, send me an email at scott@robertsoncom, 2M's like communications.com, and I will send you the link. You will love that. That's a new thing from StoryBrand, and I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to really do a lot of good, help a lot of people. So today, you tuned into a great one, because I am excited to welcome to the show a visual branding photographer and film creator with 25 years of business experience creating artwork. He is a veteran. He is a former U.S. Army combat medic, and he has worked with some celebrities, which also qualifies him for combat pay of some kind, I'm sure. Please welcome Renee Farias. Renee, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing well, keeping it real in Southern California.
Keeping it real. I like it, man. So, I like to open up so people get a feel for you. So, how did you get to where you are right now?
Scott, that's a really long story, but I'll try and keep it short. I started out in the arts when I was about 8 years old. I mean, I always just loved visual arts from the time I was a tiny one. And I used to love sketching and painting, just watercolor stuff, just cheap stuff that just intrigued me. Eventually, I got into photography by quote unquote stealing my mom's camera when I was in third grade.
Okay.
And so I used to take it to school, snap pictures of everything and anything, waste her film, as she used to say, and I was always intrigued with the process, with what came out, right? You didn't know what you really had until you saw the photos themselves. And so it was really cool, because that was film days back then, and I'm an old fella, so back then it was film days, so it was really pretty nice. Awesome. But then the other thing, I started getting more and more into art over time, and I entered a competition because my art teacher, when I was, I think, in 8th grade or 7th grade, said, he needs to compete. So I competed in a Pasadena art show for elementary, middle school kids. I won $100, third prize, and boy, was I super excited. I was like, Dad, take me to Save-On. I got to go buy some more film.
Nice,
that kind of thing. And so, eventually, when I was in high school, I really got into advertisements. My mother had, fashion magazines all over the house. I would flip through the fashion magazines, and I told her one day I want to be doing this kind of pictures. This is what I want to be doing someday. And I think that both of us just kind of set that aside and just kept on going. But I do remember that conversation really well, because I was in about 10th grade or so. So I was about a sophomore. But by the time I graduated, I realized that I needed to do something real, because the arts were always competitive, and it takes time to get there. And
Sure.
so I actually joined the Army, became a combat medic. And that's kind of what paved my way to get to school, to college, and get there. So eventually I earned a degree in marketing and advertising. It was a BA degree at the UC San Diego, and also a visual arts degree as well. So that's kind of my story in a few seconds.
All right. So what's more grisly, facing wounds in the field as a combat medic or facing marketing?
Oh goodness! You know what? The funny here's
what disgusts you more?
You know, I will almost say marketing. Here's the reason why. Real simple, brother. In that a wound in the field, you kind of know what you've got right up front, right? You fix it, you move on. You fix it, you just go. Or marketing, I think, I love marketing, but it's also a journey. It's definitely a journey. Yeah. So
definitely. So, in your opinion, what makes a great brand? Leading question, I realize, but what makes a great brand?
I think a great brand is a brand that takes the time to really separate themselves from the rest of the pack, whatever it is that they're doing. They figure out their brand identity. From the brand identity, I call it, why do you do what you do? That's a brand identity. That's like the foundation of a brand identity. And then from there, they lead into their marketing plan. They lead into their business plan, marketing plan, and then go into visuals. Visuals is really important. Having a good tagline, having that kind, all those things come with marketing, and that ties into your visual content, whether it's photography or video. I mean, I used to always say, one of my favorite brands growing up, though I never wore their suits, was Men's Wearhouse. I thought that was like, I can't remember his last name. His name was George something or other. And
you're gonna like the way you look.
Yeah,
you're gonna like the way you look.
I guarantee it. So that phrase went with the visual content. I mean, that company, like, I think it was alive and well for like 5 decades. And I think it was like worth billions of dollars at the end of the day, and it was just something that they tied together, corporate branding, advertising type of branding and marketing, all tied back into their brand. I think it was amazing.
I think it's because they had a president who had a full head of hair. I feel the hair discrimination.
Hey, listen, I get it.
I feel the hair discrimination. That guy had hair. He had hair on his head. He had a big old bushy beard.
Yeah.
I mean, he was like this far from being Sasquatch.
That's
right. he was super close.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, cool. So you refer to yourself as a visual branding specialist, which is, which is more than a photographer, like an AP photographer. Everybody has experience with photographers. You refer to yourself as a visual branding specialist. When marketers think of visuals and branding, they kind of miss the importance of photography, I think. But speak to that. Talk about visual branding specialists and talk about how you see the importance of photography in branding.
Sure. I think a lot of times one of the misconceptions is that any photographer will do. And that is a big misconception. It's unfortunate. In that, as a matter of fact, I recently had a web developer contact me, and I'll explain that in a second. But here's what was interesting. What is interesting is that a lot of people who don't do enough research don't understand what we call in the field communication art photography. And what that means, here, listen, large full service agencies, they totally get this. This is why Budweiser, Banana Republic, J. Crew, all these top companies have these types of agencies, at their disposal, because what they're understanding is that a photograph, when created specific for the brand and the brand message, it now becomes an actual asset. It is no longer just I'm spending money on photography. And I look at it this way. When we buy a car, we all expect that car's value to decline almost immediately, right? When we buy a home or a house, we expect that to increase over time. And so when proper planning takes place in creating visual content, whether it's photography or video, that is designed specifically for a ad campaign or specifically designed to fit into a marketing plan for long-term planning, then it turns out to wind up being a very valuable asset in the process of a company and how they're spending money and what they're doing. I always like to say, a properly designed and properly created photograph campaign and visual video content will generate a better ROI on the marketing plan, because this is just part of the marketing plan. In some cases, it's the foundation.
Right, right. So, marketers can get visuals a lot of places today. Why is it important to shoot to shoot original ones?
Oh yeah, original content, original photography. That's a great question. So I think that the biggest thing in working with a lot of ad agencies over time, what I've come to realize is that original art speaks to the client better, right? So let's just say that you're selling clothing, and so you create through your marketing plan, you create visuals that are lifestyle in nature, and you're showing the potential client or the potential purchaser of a top or a bottoms or whatever, how the company envisions them wearing it, how it could be a complete lifestyle change for someone, things of that nature. So original art will do that because it speaks to the client. Let's say you're an attorney. So this is more corporate branding. So let's say you're an attorney. Now you get to, if you get on video, perhaps you get to speak directly to your audience, right? You get to speak to their pain points. You get to speak to why you're the right attorney for them to come visit and come see. Then you have things like lifestyle photography in an attorney's office, where you have the rest of the crew or the team, a legal team, involved in the process. Now a potential client can say, that's the team I want, instead of seeing these fake photos that are not really them. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense.
All smiling and perfectly culturally diverse.
Exactly.
You're like, everybody's good looking, like nobody has a zit, and everybody's like, there are no zits on people in stock photography. I mean, do you guys just Photoshop the zits away or whatever? I mean, how the hell is that even possible in reality? I'm just saying.
Good makeup. Good retouching.
Good makeup. Good retouching.
Good makeup. Good retouching.
I like it. So I'm a word guy. You're a visual guy, right? Guys like us, work together. There is that phrase, a picture. Do you really think a picture's worth 1,000 words? Said the word guy to and you're gonna try not offend me, but do you really think a picture's worth 1,000 words?
Here's my phrase to that. If a picture's worth 1,000 words, a branding photo is worth 1,000 clients.
Oh, look at you. Nice.
Yeah. So I like to turn that around, because I believe that, listen, I don't mean to be offensive to anybody, but unless you're legally blind, you're going to be attracted to a photograph of any company before you're attracted to any words. That is pretty normal. Yeah, that's just who we are as people. And so when you're properly branding something visually, or properly branding a company, let's call it that way, visually, then I believe that they're attracted now to your words. They're attracted to the overlay text at the bank that has a poster board, talking about their best interest rate or their best credit card or whatever, so.
Interesting. That's interesting. Well, like I said, do you know who said that? Who said a picture's worth 1,000 words?
I have no idea.
I was looking on the internet to see who said that, and they can't attribute it to anyone. And I was like, that's probably a photographer.
Unknown, so we can all use it.
Oh, no, that's a photographer trying to spread lies and drum up business for himself. That's what I'm saying. It's been used for centuries, and we're like, well, that's a bunch of crap. So anyway, I thought it was interesting. So let's talk about, you know what? I want to talk about digital rights management. I also want to talk about NFTs, just for a second. What do you think about NFTs? You're an artist. You're a digital creator. You bullish on that? You bearish on it? What are you thinking about NFTs in terms of your work and what you're being asked to do these days?
I actually love NFTs from the standpoint of the fact that they're one, original work in most cases. And the second thing I love about them is that the creative, whoever the creative is, the person, the creator, on it has taken the time to express their artistry, right? Express themselves through it. And I love that. I mean, I'm an artist as well. I'm not just a photographer. Yes. So I love that ability to just be able to do that. And listen, when it comes to licensing rights and things of that nature, we can touch base a little bit on that. We do sell our IPs, intellectual property many times.
Of course.
And many times we don't. So an NFT is really a original creation by someone selling their rights to the product, right? Or licensing the product. So I really like it. I think it's something that can be very lucrative in the industry of arts. However, I will say that there is caution, to proceed with caution for anybody, because it's not just, like many things, people immediately believe, oh, I have this great idea and I'm going to put it online. It's going to sell like gangbusters, and then it doesn't, and they fail. They feel like a failure. And you know what? NFTs, that's one of the big problems with it, where you see a lot of them.
Would you be more comfortable if people paid for your NFTs and they didn't use magical fairy dust money of cryptocurrency, and they actually use money?
Absolutely. I say that for now. I mean, for now, absolutely.
How many Bored Ape Yacht Club? How many bored looking monkeys do you own, Renee?
None.
How many?
None.
No. Yeah. You're like, if I did, I wouldn't be here talking to your ass.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't be talking to you on the radio here if I owned some of the bored monkey yacht people, that are paid for with the magical money. I like to call it the magical money that someday may be worth money, but is not worth money.
You know what I love about what you're touching base on is that a young man, 21, 22 years old, sold an NFT of himself that he created in Indonesia. He's out of Indonesia, pardon me. And so he sold it. It sold for like $1 million. It was insane. And so, wow. There's all this celebration on Twitter, there's all this celebration and stuff. And of course, it's cryptocurrency, so he doesn't actually have the money unless he cashes it out, whatever the process is.
Magic
what
money.
I thought was hilarious is his government tweeted on his board saying, just don't forget to pay your taxes.
I was gonna say, guess who's watching?
Yes, exactly. So I thought that was hilarious, but
would we convert your magic your magic play money to real money? Guess who's gonna be the first hand that's out looking for it?
Right.
I guarantee. Well, anyway, we digress away from money, but I find stuff like that interesting. Let's talk about digital rights management, which is a real issue. And digital rights management is a really big deal to visual content creators. So how can creators make sure that they're getting paid when brands and companies, especially when brands and companies are using your creative work? How are you ensuring that you're getting paid and you're getting paid fair market value and getting paid every time it's used?
Yeah, so I believe that we all need to have contracts. We need to make sure that a client signs a contract, and the contract needs to be spelled out, T's crossed, I's dotted kind of thing.
Yes.
I love my business attorney because, every time I have a client challenging me, I go to my attorney and say, let's talk about this. Is it even worth doing? And so I think that what's important is that, when I used to mentor photographers, they used to come to me every here and there and say things like, I love this potential client, but they don't want to sign my agreement. They don't want to, they want to own all of the IP, but they're not paying me enough. And I say, great, that's a negotiation sign to me. Let's talk, let's sit down and have a conversation. And if the conversation goes in the direction that's not favorable for the photographer, then I used to tell my mentees to say, be willing to walk away, because that's just a problem in the future. If they're not willing to sign a contract, they're not willing to sign based on copyright laws in the United States, and they're not willing to pay you in the future based on the agreement, then you're probably opening yourself up to some problems in the future. So to safeguard that, I would just walk away from it. Even if I've walked away from some stuff that's a lot of money because they're just not willing to sign it.
And as you're doing a project with somebody, right, you have a contract that people need to sign, and basically it tells them that they have the rights to everything that you're doing within the project to use it within the context of the project. Do you still retain the rights to the photos like that? Do you kind of share it? I mean, how do you do that with a brand, or is it just it's different depending on every deal is different?
there's some variety to every deal. However, generally what I do is I basically lease back the images to them. So I own the copyrights and they own the rights to use the images
Right.
for a set of,
You're going to
right,
license them.
for
Got it.
a set amount of time, if not in perpetuity altogether. So
Yeah.
there is that limited amount of time or in perpetuity, depending on the job, depending on the project, depending on what they're willing to pay. Normally what I do is I like to put A, B, and C type of pricing out and say, this is the best one, this is the middle of the road, and this is the least expensive, but you're gonna have to renew at some point. And so that's kind of how I'd like to do it, so that I don't run into the issues later. And so and to be completely honest, at this point in my career, most jobs I own the copyright and they will license in perpetuity so they can use the images forever.
Right.
But I still own the licensing.
Cool. You know, do you ever run into like, you know, there's a CEO and like they insist that they need to be the face of the brand, but you sort of disagree with that, or the creative, you know, you and the creator like disagree with that, but because they're the CEO and they got like a huge ego, they're like, you know, you know, every commercial for an auto dealer, you know, has like the president of the company, and you're like, that is not the right person to be up there delivering the message at all times. Sometimes it works, most often times it doesn't. But do you ever have to have those uncomfortable conversations where you're like, you know, the camera doesn't love you and you honestly shouldn't be photographed? You really shouldn't be out in society at all, but you definitely shouldn't be photographed. I mean, do you ever have to be have any kind of conversations like that? Are those uncomfortable conversations with folks about what's best for the brand?
You know, I haven't had one of those conversations in probably 2 decades, fortunately.
Too nice.
But I have had the unfortunate conversation of, once we put together, you know, we go through the marketing brief, we put together creative treatment. And so the creative treatments, this is our guideline, right? This is what we've all agreed to this. And then you're on set and you have a CEO who, oh, I don't like that. I don't like this. I don't like that. And we have to pull them aside and have a frank conversation, you know, in saying, this is what we agreed to. This is part of the marketing. This is the marketing plan, you know, and you signed off on all of this. And so, you know, we do have to gently walk that. And it's happened more than once. And so I think it's just a matter of really just speaking to their intelligence and helping them understand the process, because a lot of times they don't understand the process. You know, they understand what they do, but they don't understand what we do on visual, right? They just think they do.
Yeah. I mean, you're so, I mean, you're a really knowledgeable guy. You've developed, you know, this long career of working in photography. Photography has changed so much. I mean, you mentioned, you know, shooting some of your first shots, you know, on film and evolving up, you know, using film and moving into digital and you know, broaden your skill set into terms of video. Where do you see, you know, visual branding or specifically photography evolving to next? Where is it going?
That's a good question. I really do feel that photography services of all types, regardless of what you're in, need to start to develop a love for video and for cinematography type of things. The reason for that is because all camera makers at this point, all our cameras produce both, can be used to produce both photo and video. And so they've done that for a reason. And the reason is because people like myself have been screaming and yelling for a while, why do I have to buy 2 cameras? Why do I have to buy 2 entire systems when we can use one, right? And so
makes sense.
And so video content production is something that I think is really, really important. And I think that every photographer, if they don't want to do it themselves, then they need to have a team on staff to be able to do this. It's really, really important. I believe that photography survives online a lot longer than video, which is why you see people having to post 30 videos in a month versus posting, you know, 5 pictures in a month. However, it is still very, very active, and it's something that we have to pay attention to continue to grow. I myself have introduced video 10 years ago into my packaging. Yeah. So
yeah. Very, very cool. Well, what are you excited about that's coming up for you? What's really got you excited these days?
Yeah, I came coming into 2022. I wasn't quite sure what was going on, even though I've been marketing and I did have work in projects last year. But
Yeah.
because last year was only a 6-month year because of a lot of what COVID, it was still being affected here in California and
I did
limitations.
hear something about that.
Yeah,
I heard there was a thing. There was a
yeah,
thing. There
there's
was
a thing. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
we're done with the thing now, though. So,
Yeah,
but
we're
anyway,
moving forward. We're moving forward.
yeah,
So I wasn't quite sure, but to be honest with you, I really love the fact that I have several projects lined up right now
cool.
between the end of April all the way through midsummer. So I'm really just excited about all those projects. I mean, they're from everything from personal branding all the way up to commercial and everything in the middle. So it's really just a fun time to be creating, everything from photography to video and whatnot. But I think one of the things I'm really most excited is my personal walk in artistry. And I mentioned earlier that I'm an artist as well. And one of the things that I have produced is something called a birthstone wall art. So it is actual wall art that's created from birthstones. So it's a just beautiful visual content that I've created. And I'm really happy about the response from interior designers, interior decorators has been so good that I'm just really excited about what that's going to be in the future. So
Very cool, man. That sounds great. And I want to talk. You've shot a lot of celebrities, right? On your website, it talks about the celebrities you've shot. I work with celebrities. How can I phrase this? So with the Will Smith thing that happened, right? I just want to here's what I want to get into. Celebrities aren't always told no, right? And they sort of believe they can do everything. The ultimate example of that is Will Smith thinks he can interrupt a live television show. They get this sense of entitlement that's so huge that they do stuff that people wouldn't even believe. And I have plenty of celebrity stories like that too. I will not share at this time, but I wanted to, since you work with celebrities and people are real particular about how they look, and it can be a lot of psychology involved and stuff like that. I mean, do you what's you don't have to name any names, by the way, and actually don't, because we don't have the legal budget to support that type of a backlash. But maybe when you're working with celebrities, do you find that they're more difficult sometimes than regular folks to shoot? And how do you manage that when you got a celebrity shoot?
I have to be completely honest about that and simply say this: I have never had a bad celebrity. Ever.
Look at you.
Ever.
Nice.
Every single celebrity I've ever photographed have been willing and cordial and caring about the staff. I mean, one of them I did have, which is very rare. I had like a 14-hour shoot with one. It was crazy. That's super rare. Normally you have like an hour. Yeah. We did like all kinds of stuff. And this person, she was so caring and for the crew. We weren't expecting that long of a day. And so she was like, oh yeah, let me order pizza for you guys. Let me do this. It just complete niceness that I've just never run into a bad celebrity. I don't know why, but I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful. I'm certainly very grateful. Some of it, and going back to mentoring people, honestly, some of it might have to do with the fact that I consult not only with their PR people, but I also consult with them. Like I will not produce for a celebrity or with a celebrity without meeting them first, ever.
Yeah, that's great.
That's important. I think that's part of the process for me.
And they'll go along with that, right? I mean, because their schedules.
I've not had one that doesn't. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, I'm always curious about that. That could be a whole nother episode of the show, but do you have anything else that you want to add, in just, in what you do and what you want? My audience is a lot of marketers, a lot of folks that are trying to figure out this ever-changing game of marketing. Is there anything else you want to add speaking to them?
Yeah. For your audience, I would like to just say that they could reach out to me. They might be in New York or Chicago or California or wherever. I have no problem with just having a conversation, in looking at a marketing brief or looking at what they're trying to do or accomplish, or sometimes even look at why something might have failed, that they're in the middle of, something like that. So they can reach out to me through my website at reneefarias.com. And I'd be happy to have a conversation, just, and kind of see where it goes and throw out some tips and things of that nature for them. Yeah.
Great. Is that the best way to reach you, just on the website?
Yeah, my contact page on my website is the best way. They can leave a message there, write a message. They can write 2,000 words if they wanted to, and just explain why they're reaching out, and I'd be happy to set up a Zoom call with them and just have a frank conversation. It's real simple.
Awesome. Well, you want to give that website one more time just so people can write it down?
Yes, it's reneefarias.com. That's RENEFARIAS.com.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, folks, what have we learned today? We've learned about that visual branding is so important. And while a picture may not be worth 1,000 words, we still don't know who said that. It is worth quite a lot. It is worth quite a lot. And when you have a great artist like Renee working with you in your corner, I mean, you have a whole wealth of experience, and that goes beyond just photography, but also how photography fits into your marketing plans. And I think that that's a rare gift and rare expertise. So anyway, that's it for me. I want to thank Renee for hanging with us today. And we'll see you next time on May the Best Brand Win on Entertalk Media. Have a good one, guys. Bye.